Hello and welcome back to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3G. I am your host, Robbie Fox. With me is my co-host and former star of Andor, Clem. We're not throwing that name around so much anymore, unfortunately, but we're still on pace for this to be an unbelievable season of television. I thought episode 8 was another great one.
Yep. Shout out to all the Keefs out there. You are now the star of Andor, which, by the way, yet another name that they just took a regular name and just made a slight adjustment, cross off the TH, add an F. And
we got a couple more of those later on.
Yes,
Stay tuned.
Did you count? Did you write? Because I was like, I can't write them all down. I was like trying to do it on my notes.
I did write all 4, and I think 2 of them are regular names with 1 letter changed. So stay tuned.
Shout out the Basement Boys. Again, we're not like the most knowledgeable podcast out there. We don't have all the answers or, maybe not the most craziest podcast entertaining. But we just sniff stuff out really quick.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of this stuff. I give us
sniff it out.
Credit.
We're good detectives. Yeah. We sniffed out Mephisto 7 years ago, and he's coming. We're telling you, he's coming.
We didn't talk about that on the Marvel thing, but the Sacha Baron Cohen being Mephisto feels like a Sacha Baron Cohen prank. It doesn't feel like it's actually going to happen. So I'm sniffing that out as well.
Before we get into this whole podcast, let me talk to the podcast listeners for a sec. The people on YouTube, we appreciate you. The people on the podcast, we appreciate you. But the podcast listeners, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube, we got tons more content that you're missing out on. We just put up reviews for Black Adam, Werewolf by Night. We've got the reaction to the Guardians holiday special trailer, the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer, and even a breaking news report on James Gunn becoming the head of DC. So if you want to hear our thoughts on all of that stuff, it's over at the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. I can put all of that stuff together as like one big podcast next week if you guys want. So tweet me if you would like me to do that. If not, though, it's available first on the YouTube channel. So make sure you go subscribe. That helps us out.
Yeah, I've had a few people who, like I could tell, are diehard basement people, basement boys and girls, who I've had interactions. We're talking all different stuff I see in the DM history, and they're like, "Oh, have you recapped She-Hulk? Did you do? Are you going to do Werewolf by Night?" And I'm like, "Guys, we did that shit like a while ago with She-Hulk, and obviously Werewolf by Night is up now too. So there's a lot of stuff on the YouTube that sometimes we can't put on the podcast because Barstool, the back end has changed. We can't just upload everything we want anymore. So some of that stuff goes on the YouTube, and we grow the YouTube. So kind of 2 birds, 1 stone, and keeps the basement lights on. So help us keep the basement lights on. Subscribe, give thumbs up, even when you don't want to give thumbs up, 5-star reviews, whatever you could do to help the basement boys eat.
All right, now let's get into Andor. We've got a lot to talk about. This is episode 8. The title was Narkina 5. Immediately, speaking of sniffing things out, I said, that's got to be the prison where he's kept, right? Narkina 5, of course it was. And Cassian is under the name Keith Grigo or Gergo or something like that. It reminded me of Grief Karga. And I was like, oh my God, this is like too many. Keith, Grief, whatever.
Good Star Wars name. It was
good.
A good
Yes.
We're back to good Star Wars names here with that one.
Yeah. He's brought to a transport by shore troopers who I love. I think I mentioned that last week. One of my favorite stormtrooper variants when they brought in Rogue One, I was like, holy shit. They really nailed the stormtrooper variants in Rogue One, from the death troopers in the beginning, the big black tall ones, to the shore troopers who have like cargo pants and they could walk in the water and everything, and they're tan. I love both. Serial, our boy Serial, is grabbed. He's brought before Dedra, so we finally get the meeting of these 2 psychopaths who are both like so out for Cassian, so out for whatever's really best in the Empire's way, but not with the Empire's permission. They're like, I'm going to win this war on my own, and then I'll tell the Empire about it afterwards. She allows him to read Blevins' report because he's like, I didn't even get to read that. And then she gives him a report on rebel activity on Aldhani, Cassian, they talk about, and she wants to know who the Axis is. The Axis, which is Luthen. That's like the other player in all of this. A very spy type thing. Like they're giving code names to people. They want to know who the intricate deals. They just don't know the one player involved. I liked all of this stuff.
So I'll just admit something here that I think Robbie can back me up on, and I hate doing stuff like this because I know there's a lot of people who are not who strive for something like we have, but there's times in this job where it's just like, man, I'm just so sick of this shit. Whether you just deal with a job is a job, and I love my job. Robbie loves his job, but I think we can all agree there's always just kind of bullshit in any job in the world, even the best jobs in the world. They're just bullshit you don't want to deal with. seeing that cubicle hell and seeing the way those cubes are all lined up, I was like, you know what? I'm not complaining. I get to work from home. I get to be relatively what's the word I'm looking for? I'm there for my kids a lot. I'm able to do a lot of stuff, a little bit of freedom with my life because of it. And I'm talking about, we said it the other day, I'm a grown-up child. That's basically my job, is I am a grown-up child. I'm talking about Star Wars and sports all day long. That cubicle hell was fucking disgusting. It looked like he was playing games, though. It looked like, I was like, is that part of his work, or is he like sneaking away and playing Tetris on his? It was
like Pong, cube? Like the computer did not look sophisticated in the slightest. I don't know if people have watched Severance, but it reminded me a lot of that. And like, what are they even doing on those computers?
And speaking of the computers, this is one thing that I appreciate about Star Wars, but also drives me nuts about Star Wars. They have to keep the computers in the same vein that they did basically in the 70s. They've been pretty consistent with that. It's just so goddamn stupid that this whole entire planet and nothing seems to make sense. I don't understand how everything works, how they're reading stuff, how they're able to process the info. I'm like, this shit, our technology seems light years ahead of them. But it is just one of those things that kind of just
was a long time ago.
That's true. And I stand corrected. Bob Fox, the first words I've ever read in all the Star Wars franchise kind of just solved my problems there. So what's the word I'm looking for? My complaint withdrawn. Officially withdrawn, sir. And seeing those two, it's Hardo and Fuckface just going at each other. The absolute pits. Hate them both. How fucking sweet is it, though, to be known as the Axis? It's like, you are the center of our fucking world right now. And listen, anti-Axis powers. There's no podcast on the planet that hates the Axis powers more than these two guys. The Basement Boys, fuck the Axis powers. We're allies, team allies till the day we die. Team allies and rebellion. But Axis, sweet ass name for our boy Luthen there. I was kind of proud of him for that.
Super sweet name. And he deserves it. He's putting this shit together. He's at the helm of it all. He's putting his neck out and with his little antique shop.
Now, do you like, this is something I was thinking back when we met him. I didn't know if there was like someone who's King Axis, someone who's kind of pulling the shots. It feels like, is he the puppet master? Is he really like the number one dude? He's the Portnoy of this all?
Like number one of the whole rebellion, because I don't know if there is like a number. I feel like it's,
you shouldn't have a number one in a rebellion. Yeah, that's how rebellions die. They take care of that guy. Everything's gonzo.
Exactly. I feel like there's like a number one in each like system, or maybe in each planet where the rebellion has a presence or something like that. Feels like there's like a network of number ones.
Yes.
Network Avengers. Prisoners are brought before Imperials in this moment, like 3 Imperials. They're like, you might be wondering why we have no guns and we're standing here before so many of you prisoners. And they hit him with like shock collars. Like they're like, like they're in agony. And I noted the Imperials had some wild shoes on. I knew there was going to be something more to the shoes. The moon boots, the Yeezys. Probably can't say Yeezys anymore. The moon boots.
Don't you say that. Actually, I got a much different vibe. I thought they were like old school Reebok pumps.
Oh, yeah, with the big tongues.
Yes, the big tongues, and it seems like something that would be around in the 90s, a little bigger than, larger than life kind of vibe to it.
Kind of the Back to the Future shoes.
Yes, a little bit of that as well. So we're going to go with the Reebok pumps instead of the Y words. Does that sound like a good plan?
I didn't think that initially, and I think we forgot to mention this in the Black Adam review. He uses a Kanye song in that movie. And I thought when I was sitting there in the theater, like, oh my God, The Rock had to be fucking devastated when this movie comes out. Did we mention that?
Robert, my boy, you mentioned it and you washed our hands of that as well. So we are as clean from Yeezy as anyone in the world right now. And
we did mention that.
Go back to the tweets, go back to the blogs, probably mentioned it on some podcasts. I have been anti-Kanye since
he interrupted Taylor.
No. What's the My Twisted Dark Fantasy, that's probably like the last Kanye
album. My Beautiful Dark Fantasy.
My Beautiful Dark Fantasy. Like all the new shit. I hated Yeezus. I hated all the nonsense. And I thought everyone that liked the nonsense. I hated The Life of Pablo. And I don't even know what else he's had. So again, anti-Axis powers, anti-Kanye West. Right here. The Basement Boys. That's what we are.
We're taking stance.
Yes. Pro old school Reebok pumps. This got me thinking, Bob. Seeing those things, and I'm like, wait a second. Narkina 5. is this like 95? We're going to have a 90s planet? I would have fucking lost my shit if we had a 90s planet. We have the 90s discussion with your brother exclusively on the YouTube. So again, watch the YouTube. We have a great 90s conversation with Mike Fox and what it was like growing up as a nerd in the 90s. Having those Reebok pumps, that might have been my first pair of like big time expensive shoes. And your boy Clem is not a shoe head at the very least. There's only one pair of shoes I've ever wanted to get that came out as a kid, were the Air Penny 2s. And it's the black, white, and blue ones. Some company just re-released them, and they are coming today. They could be in the,
my God.
The FedEx guy could be in the driveway right now, Bob. And the first thing I'm going to do when I open them up, smell the sneakers. I love smelling new pairs of shoes. Kevin,
I'm looking at them now. They're pretty sweet shoes.
Yeah, they're real sweet shoes. If you look at the logo, it looks like a 1 cent. That was Penny's logo. It was Penny Hardaway, obviously. It was just an absolute perfect shoe. It's my favorite as a kid. So if we can maybe in season 2 of Andor get some guys with some Air Penny 2s. If anyone's listening, I know a lot of the writers, directors listen to the podcast. Get some Air Penny 2s on these motherfuckers, because when I saw that, I was like, that's an aggressive fucking statement. These guys wearing these pumps here, they're telling you they mean business. And I kind of liked how they were like mean, but they were also like, you wonder why we don't have guns. This is why. And like, they just had like the upper hand on them. And even going back to the planet Miami, as we call it, the Miami planet, I love when the stormtroopers were like mean. They weren't just like, hey, over here. They're like, hey, motherfucker. And they're like jabbing them. Narkina 5, you heard what I said, dickhead, get on the ship. So I like the whole vibe of this. Like, this is war. This is what war is, more like prison camps and bullshit charges against people that they think might be in a rebellion. So we're kind of getting our grown-up Star Wars show, espionage, all that kind of stuff. And then a little tickle of the nostalgia bone with the old school Reebok pumps. Love it.
Yeah, listen. They're listening because they named the whole character after you. They renamed the main character after you. Next season, every character in the galaxy is going to be wearing these fucking Penny Hardaway shoes.
Yes, exactly. And they're going to be subtle with the Robbie Fox character. He's going to be a fox named Bob. And be like, oh, I see what you guys did there. He's going to be an alien fox. The motherfucker said schedule so loud. And I'm like, all right, this is a thing now. We're just going to make this a thing.
Every
schedule
episode.
Is a thing.
But I think someone in this episode later on said schedule. I think we had a schedule, yes.
Oh, all right.
I think we had an American guy say schedule, so we're taking it back.
Is it an Imperial?
I don't remember.
Because I am ready to blindly cast my allegiance behind this person, but I don't want it to be problematic, and he supports the Axis powers and Kanye. It wasn't Kanye West who said it, right?
No. It wasn't
good,
him.
Good.
Yeah. Let's tell the people about Game Time. We love Game Time. Use them all the time. It's the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, created by fans for fans. Game Time is a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price, as we tell you every week. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. You guys are going to love this app. We've had tons of Barstool fans using it, hitting us up on social media about the great deals they're getting. I've went to a ton of concerts with Game Time. It's so easy to use. You go to the app, download it, account tab. It's in the upper right-hand corner, I believe. And then create a login, redeem the code BASEMENT, all caps, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But it's so easy to use. Amazing deals. You could go to NHL games. NHL's back. NBA's back. Knicks fans here. Rangers fans here. You're a Rangers fan, right?
We are brother. Like, Dolan is our emperor, and we are like united against him. Even though,
well, you know what's a shame is, I'm not even gonna say Dolan made some good moves with the Rangers, but the Rangers have been on a good trajectory. So it's like, I think we made Fire Dolan Ranger shirts, and then like the Rangers like had their best season forever. And it was like,
he fired the coach and like the GM or whatever, and everyone lost their minds. And then all they did was win after that. And the Knicks are looking good too. It's just, he always look, it's not like all heartbreak and awful stuff as the emperor rules, but it's just, he's lingering above and ready just to make everything hell. So that's why we do not like Dolan. However, we like going to games. We like getting there for cheap. Our boy Glenny Balls, I saw he was at a Islanders Rangers game the other day. Great seats. The executive producer of gave us tools. So
and I think he went to see the Sandman last night. Sandman on tour, Adam Sandler.
Oh, did he really? And did I give my review of the Adam Sandler tour I went to, like, honestly, probably like late 90s?
Oh, I don't know. Give it
10 out of 10. Incredible. If you could go to Adam's, I don't know how much the show has changed in like 30 years.
Glenny told me it was incredible. I already talked to him about it.
First half was stand-up, second half was music, and it was like all the Adam Sandler stuff that he has. And this is someone that grew up on his albums, which makes me feel old, but his first 3 comedy CDs, that is what twisted my brain into becoming the Barstool smut blogger you guys all know and kind of like. A+, absolute, just incredible stuff. So Glennie going to an Adam Sandler concert, like that is a happy place if we're gonna, reference another Adam Sandler movie. So Game Time is the place to go. And again, we had our first confirmation. Someone got Bluey tickets to the Bluey show that I was telling people about.
With the Game Time code.
Yep.
I love that. That's amazing. So shout out Game Time. The promo code is basement. All right. So now Dedra goes before Serial, and she tells him pretty strictly, stop looking for Andor. Thanks for the fucking memories. Get out of here. We don't need your help with this. We're going to take over from here. Exactly. And this guy, that's like the last thing he wants to hear in this moment. Finally, he thinks he could be of use. He's like, I actually know about what went down. I'm like, oh my God, maybe I could sneak my way back into the Imperials. This is what I've always wanted. She's like, get the fuck out of here. He's pissed right away. And this is the moment where you think, okay, is he getting pushed away from the Imperials, or is this just going to make him more angry and more sinister?
Yeah, I don't know where we're going with him. He keeps getting dunked on.
I like that too. Pretty unpredictable. Yeah.
I love that he keeps getting dunked on. I just want bad things to happen to him and only him. But I feel like at some point it's going to come back and it's going to really, really fuck us and everyone we love over. So that's why unless do we sniff it out and he just says fuck these guys, like, and fuck everything, and he becomes like super rebel.
I think that's what my Uncle Fun, as we call him, thinks is going to happen.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Now, somehow, all right. The answer to what happens with Fuckface here is he's going to meet with Uncle Harlow, who is just lingering this whole time.
Who the hell is Uncle Harlow?
And maybe Uncle Harlow is going to be the one who decides, because Uncle Harlow is going to play a big role in this. And I could see Uncle Harlow being like, yeah, by the way, like, fuck those guys. I'm fucking with these rebels now. And he's going to follow him because that's what it is. And also, again, the Basement Boys, we like to puff our chests out and say when we got stuff right, even when we didn't technically get it right. I think we crossed Deidre off as being his sister off the list, because we would have gone like, oh, that giant hologram, that's my brother.
yeah. I don't think that's the sister anymore. But the line about dyeing the hair was, it was sus. So I don't know. There's more to her. I guess.
Okay, so I guess there's a chance where, like, in a private moment, she's just like, "Fuck, I got to get my brother here." But it would seem kind of weird how she
seems very like intent on like rising the ranks of the Imperial, unless she's like the best like covert office. Is that the word covert?
I believe so. Secret? I believe
that's a spy word. That's a fucking spy word, Clem.
one thing for the people that didn't watch the She-Hulk recaps on the YouTube is we don't know anything about court stuff, and Bob was throwing out the fakest, worst words. Like, is that a thing? Is that part of a thing?
What did I call? I said I was like her final speech in the court.
Yeah,
her final monologue.
Closing argument, Robbie. Yeah. We all know that one. So that was an A+ word. Good work by you.
It was covert shit.
And hey, like, as we know in the Star Wars world, a certain point of view, maybe she's like, yeah, dude, I grew up with you on that planet. The fucking the Imperials were the good ones. We're the bad ones. Everyone we know and love was the bad ones. I don't know how they're going to fucking spin this shit, but however they may do. So yeah, I did think there is a chance that she could come back to being the sister. So I shouldn't say no chance, but it's going to be a hell of a twist with what, 3 episodes left? 4 episodes?
We've got
9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. 4.
So 4 episodes left.
So Cassian is brought to prison, a very Squid Games-esque prison, I thought, with the speaker, with someone talking with, to the whole room and everything, the all white walls, the kind of duties that they had to do, and they get rewarded if they're first or whatever. Did you get that vibe?
Bob, same exact note. Squid Games, and it kind of made me want to watch Squid Games again. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was the most horrifying experience of my life.
That was a great show.
Everyone on Twitter was like, I can't say why, but this show sure is like disturbing. I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, nice sunny day. And then I saw that the first episode and I was just like, you ever see the meme of Mr. Incredible where it's like his face is dark.
Yeah.
That was me. I was just like, oh God. And I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast before. My wife had to go to the doctor because she had like a toothache, and they said she was grinding her teeth. They're like, do you have any stress in life? She's like, well, I watch like 2 episodes of Squid Games every night before bed. Like, that's probably it. We stopped watching Squid Games once the finale was on, and everything just got back to normal. So, folks, if you haven't watched Squid Games yet, check it out. It's more fucked up than this shit, and it's really good, though. And this is the same kind of feeling where it's, like, sterile, it's very well organized, and it's, like, just low-key, like, a hopeless situation, even though they're trying not to make it seem like it.
Yeah. All right, so here's the most shocking moment of the episode for me. The head of his shift, Cassian's, like, work shift in the prison, is a guy named Kino, played by Andy Serkis. We had no idea he was going to be in this show. Fucking Snoke himself, Gollum himself. Caesar from Planet of the Apes himself.
I was trying to figure out who it was. I was trying to place it. I'm like, I know I've seen that face before. And obviously a lot of the things he does.
Ulysses Claw, Black Panther.
That's where I've seen him actually, like his regular face is Claw, which I always like Claw. I love the foreman. I just love the guy. He just has something about him. He's not like a good person I want to hang out with, but he just like fucking hell of a performance.
Almost reminded me of like one of the characters from Squid Games too. That was like kind of trying to run shit when they got back to the bunks and everything.
Yep.
Like,
veteran who's ready, who has like, we got to get this shit going here. Yep, a go-getter.
Doesn't want his ass on the line because he's the head of the shift, so he's making sure everyone's on their kind of like pit crew parts. That it looked like they were. Did they ever say what they were actually doing? Was that like TIE fighter parts? What are they doing?
I'm happy you asked because I was trying to figure it out myself. It's like the old you learn. This was always a big thing in school. Was widgets was always the math question. It's like you know, if you make 7 widgets and it takes you an hour to make one, how long will it take? They're just building widgets, but I gotta know what those widgets are for. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, this feels like something from a TIE fighter, like to fuel it or to get the laser. Yeah. And I was
very like NASCAR pit crew in the way they were assembling it, though. They were like, hurry up, grab the nozzle, drill this in. Like, all right, next one. Yeah, all that shit.
I was just, this just breeds more discussions like the what is it, Clerks with the Death Star, and there was innocent people on there, the janitor and stuff. It's like the people that are building and basically fueling the Empire's reign are all these like prisoners and shit like that, and they're the ones building the weapons, they're the ones probably helping build the Death Star, all this kind of shit out there. I hope we find out by the end of his time in the prison, like, oh, that was the X-Wing or the TIE fighter fueling station factory. I don't know what the fuck to call it, but widgets. We're just going with widgets for now. I don't know.
And I feel like Cassian later on is going to see one of those and know exactly what to do with it because he used to drill them in prison.
I like it. This is a good call. So put that one on the list for the Basement Boys. Fuckface, Serial Boy, Going, Rebellion. That's like a light. Yeah. That's a light prediction. A light prediction, or are we going to put that in?
Yeah. That's not like we're going to bet the bank on it. Just sprinkle on it.
We're going to sprinkle it. We're going to sprinkle. It's in pencil. Can be erased if we find it necessary. Also in pen. Anti-Axis powers. We're going to make
in Sharpie.
In Sharpie.
All right. So the names of all of the inmates that are on his table. We got Ham. That was a great one. Just Ham.
Motherfucker named Ham. That's the only note I had when I was missing all the names. I go, I can't believe they named that motherfucker Ham. We've had all these great names in Star Wars.
Related to Porkins?
Ooh, there it is.
Taga, which was a Star Wars name. They didn't just, change one thing. And then we get to Olaf, which is kind of like Olaf. And then we get to Zal, which is Saul with an X.
It's like maybe this show would not have been as deep or as good if they had to actually come up with Star Wars names. Because I know if me and you were making a Star Wars show, we would spend days trying to come up with like the best names for everyone.
Everyone would be like, Bulio Clergana.
Yeah. Okay, there's 2 things that the Star Wars directors and writers of next season's Andor or any future franchise could do as a little nod to the Basement Boys. 1, come up with that name and make a character with that. What is it?
Bulio Clergana. There is a Bulio in The Rise of Skywalker. That's why it came to mind.
Is there?
Yeah, Mark Hamill does his voice.
Okay.
He's an alien. He's the one that goes, "Win the war."
That could be like an established name. That's like the John of the galaxy
Julio
far, far
Lorena.
away. And the other thing I was going to say was Scram, because I just said Scram before. I want to hear someone say Scram in season 2 of Andor.
They tell him the least productive table will be disciplined, another Squid Games type thing. And then we cut to, for the first time this episode, Mon Mothma and her dickhead husband. They're getting some worm drinks. Kind of gross. Like they put the worm. Yeah, squigs. They put the thing in there and then it kind of bubbles up and everything. I think Mon's like, no fucking thank you. I'm not going to be taking one of those. And she goes and talks to Tay Kolma in secret yet again. They kind of break away from the party. Again, the daughter comes up to them. The daughter's kind of maybe going to be the first one onto them, you think?
Sus. That is, we have some sus shit going on right now.
The daughter's the dad's spy, I think.
That would be interesting. Yes. And I could see, I'll say this about Mon Mothma. And granted, it's during a rebellion after many Bothans died when we meet her. There's a sadness to her, right?
Oh, yeah.
When we see her in the future or in the past, but it's the future in the movies.
Like a numbness. It's
as if her fucking daughter just turned on her and tried to sell her out and sell her whole rebellion and try to fuck up an entire galaxy. So the daughter, maybe number one on this, like that wasn't even hiding anything there. It almost, I was like, it was almost so transparent. I'm like, am I supposed to think that? And you're going to double turn on me and she's going to like kill the shitty dad?
The dad's definitely feeding the daughter information all day from what we know about the relationship, the family dynamics. The daughter's like, Mom doesn't even spend any time with me. So she's spending all her time with the dad, getting his friggin' crazy politics, whatever he's saying about
the dad only watches like certain cable news. Like he doesn't watch the one that goes down the middle. He's one way
Order 66 News, like channel 66. Yeah.
Oh, 66.
They also, the way they mention the Emperor a couple times in this party, just like, oh, well, the Emperor's plan like is this, and the Emperor suggested, like, that was just cool to hear people talking about him like that.
I agree. I dug it, and it wasn't too heavy-handed, but it was just like a lot of people were like, "This guy fucking sucks." It was, "Oh no, like hear him out." I wanted someone to just be like, "That guy's a cunt," but that's how you end up in fucking Narkin 5 or whatever.
Yeah,
is by calling the Emperor the C word.
Morgan and Morgan. Let's tell the people about Morgan and Morgan, our newest sponsor. They've never had an ad read on the show before, so we thank them for having their first one today. When was the last time you were in a fight? Let's be honest. Most of us can't fight for shit. That's true. That's, well, some of us, Octagon Bob. Some people say can, but now we don't even have to. Morgan and Morgan is America's largest personal injury law firm and fights for the people. They're such badasses. They are officially the law partner of the UFC. Gotta love that. And they're giving away, this is crazy. They're giving away 2 tickets to UFC 281. With Adesanya and Pereira at Madison Square Garden, and our girl Meatball Molly. This is the card that she's fighting on very soon. So look forward to this. All you have to do is go to morganufc.com and enter for a chance to win. That's morganufc.com. No purchase necessary. This is just 2 free tickets that you can get a chance to win at their website. Sweepstakes end on November 3rd, so it's open to 48 U.S. and D.C. states, or U.S. states and D.C., ages 18 and older, void where prohibited. For official rules, visit morganufc.com. This is an amazing card, though. This is like one of the best cards of the year for sure. Madison Square Garden is going to be crazy loud for this. Morgan & Morgan fights to get you more. They've covered more than $15 billion for their clients. It's also completely free to work with them unless you win the case. That's Morgan & Morgan, the official law sponsor of Barstool. So, again, sweepstakes closes at midnight on November 3rd. Go to morganufc.com for your chance to win. No purchase necessary.
They're the official of Barstool, too?
That's what it says on the ad read, yeah.
So that's going to be a heck of a week. So people coming from out of if like you don't live in town, though, I believe the Dozen isn't the Dozen live show that week because they're going to have that. And Meatball Molly's going to be there. And I'm going to put a little sprinkle, a little sugar on it for anyone that's like, do I really want to spend the minute it's going to take me to fill this out? Bob Fox, if you win this contest and you prove you win it, Bob Fox will go and meet you during the card, before, during, after the card. If I can get down there that weekend, I'll meet you as well. But we're going to shout out to the people at Morgan & Morgan. I can tell you what, our boy Keith wouldn't be in Narkin 5 right now if he had Morgan & Morgan protecting him.
Correct.
He would have been with his lovely girl. He'd be sharing a shower with the girl. They'd be having a nice time. They'd be sprinkling themselves with money. It would be beautiful. They'd be living the rest of their life in the Miami planet. And instead, he didn't have Morgan & Morgan. And now he's in a war camp. Not fucking good. So shout out Morgan & Morgan.
And he's also in this moment, he's in tubes with other prisoners. It's kind of a strange system. Kind of reminded me of the clones, how they had the tubes like that on Camino or whatever. And there's
Hmm.
prisoners talking to each other in sign language. They made a point to show that. And I think that later on we're going to get some sort of prison riot where the sign language people are putting that together. Did you pick up on those vibes?
Nope. Did miss the
No,
sign language altogether. So,
they were
so
doing across like a long way. It looked like they were a football field away in tubes, but two of them were just signing stuff.
shit. I wish I had seen that. That feels very important. This is the problem with taking notes as you watch a show too, is you do miss out on some of the subtleties of all it. These were my notes. Bread floor hot, food in tube, toilet in the cell that
Gross.
folds up. I'll tell you, I kind of love it as a parent though, because
The
I
tube
can't.
food?
No, everything about this prison is what I wish I could do to my kids. Because I
Don't
can't.
say that.
As I hear what just came out of my mouth, I kind of regret it. However, you have to understand, Bob, I have a 4-year-old that wakes up every night at 3 a.m., comes in our room, and then he wakes up for the day at about 5:50 a.m., and then I'm up for the day. I have a 7, soon to be 8-year-old who wakes up every single night, and she says she's sleepwalking into our room, and she sleeps on the recliner in our room instead of getting in bed with us. I don't know why, but she just likes our recliner, and she has a bad sleep, so then she's cranky all day. If I had a floor that was burning hot. Now, granted, now I know I thought it was just hot. I didn't realize it like basically kills you. If I could make a floor that would be hot, but not like hot red lava hot and kill somebody, I wish I could do it. Also, being able
Just
to
like
just
an
throw,
80-degree floor.
yeah, exactly. No, we're saying like 100. Like
Okay.
it heats the
Like the floor is lava.
yeah, the floor is lava. It heats the tootsies up, but I don't know. I like it as a parent where I could just keep my kids in my room. When we put Sienna to bed, she'll come out 10 different times and think, "Oh, Dad, I need a glass of water. Dad, I need to go to the bathroom. Dad, I just want to say I love you. Dad, the
Oh,
light
it's
is too
nice.
bright out here. It's nice. The first 800 nights of your life, and then it starts getting annoying because then they're tired the next day. I am very interested. I might move to Narkina 5. That's basically what I'm trying to say here.
The cells that they showed, I wrote look like the Star Wars hotel rooms,
Oh, yeah, that's a good call too.
which I don't know what that says about the hotel rooms. That the first thing that it reminded me of was the prison in Star Wars. The food in a tube, disgusting. That made me want to throw up. Like I don't even know what that would taste like. Do you think it's like just like ground up meat? What
I
is it?
I think it's like
Proteins?
oatmeal or like almost baby food consistency. And but they said there's like no flavor, but if you're good, you get flavor. If your team does
Oh yeah,
well,
yeah,
you
they
get
did say that.
flavor.
Yeah.
So I just imagine the most bland food you've ever had in your life. It's basically liquid water or liquid water, like edible solid water, and
Like
the
thick water. Yeah.
yes, and then but the flavor is like the stuff you put in like ramen or something to make it taste like chicken. It's
Oh,
nothing.
okay.
It's nothing
Okay.
crazy, but it's like you
Now
at
you're
least get a
selling me
little
on it.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bob, we're gonna move. Bob, do you remember what they fucking wear at Narkina 5? Reebok pumps. They are the sickest Reebok pumps
And
you've
their
ever
their
seen.
outfits were like their prison outfits were kind of fire. I said immediately that's going to be a big group costume for a Star Wars celebration if you all just go in those smocks because that's such an easy costume.
That's actually a great point. I also got Black Mirror vibes from it too. Like
Yeah,
it feels like it would have been an episode of Black Mirror. I think I watched
definitely.
2 or 3 episodes of Black Mirror, and I was like, "This is too creepy for me. I have to stop
Great
watching it."
show. I've
Great
seen
show.
most of it. There's still like a couple episodes that have still evaded me, but great show. We go back to Mon and her husband. They just have a little back and forth with a couple staring out the window, and they reveal that they got married at 15. And the way they reveal it is in such a like, yeah, we were fucking 15. Mon was a senator at 16, and now look at us, we're miserable. Like both of them.
Oh God, just I just this dynamic is so fucked. But I guess I kind of appreciate that we're getting a little bit back to it because it made no sense, right? How they would
Yeah.
end up together. They seem so different, but just a couple of crazy kids just trying to, make it in this crazy world of ours.
We actually go 30 shifts later for Andor. So it's like, oh shit, okay, 30 days later. And then we go to Marva. Go ahead.
Did you mention the PORD that they talk
Oh
about?
no, I didn't. The public order resentencing degree about rebel activity. Like if you're on a planet that was standing by the rebels, I think they're just arresting people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what it was.
And they all like, they were looking at him like, is there any word of this? And they seemed so like excited about it. It's like, I've never heard of that in my life. And I feel like he genuinely hasn't, right? Like,
yeah, no, I don't think so.
He was faking it. And again, I'm sure Vel and all these other people that were on that planet with him know all about it with the Aldahi or whatever, Aldani. But yeah, he's like, I don't fucking know. He will know. I'm gonna say he's gonna know a lot about it by the time the series is over.
So we go 30 shifts later for Cassian, and then we go back to his home planet, or not his home planet, but we go back to the planet that we started on. And Marva fell rebelling, and Bix and Brasso, Cassian's friend that we haven't seen in a while, go to check on her. And unfortunately, Vel and Cinta were spying on them. Also confirmed, sharing a blanket.
Sharing private parts is what I called it.
Doing.
And that's I meant to say that during the episode because they do allude to it. You're like, oh, those are the people that were sharing a blanket. There. All right.
Respect. Bix signals Luthen. She goes back up to that little antenna thing, and she wants Cassian to know that Marva fell. She's, ill. Maybe come back, see your mom.
Marva's a motherfucking soldier. Put some.
She is. She's like on her name. Telling everyone, like, hey, I'm going down fighting. Like, no matter what you say, my death is going to be on the fucking battlefield.
She's looking for the fucking the little pathway under the hotel to see if the rebellion can get in or out, man. That is someone who has that shit in her blood, man. I love it.
Let's talk about Wondery now. Go deeper into the canals of Numenor, the mines of Khazad-dûm, and more with the official Lord of the Rings of Power podcast. Host Felicia Day and several special guests provide an inside look at the groundbreaking series and what it took to bring Middle-earth to life. Every episode of the new podcast features exclusive interviews with the series showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, including the very first full breakdown of the incredible season finale. Felicia also goes behind the scenes with the cast and crew to bring you jaw-dropping stories and Easter eggs you won't want to miss. Watch Rings of Power on Prime Video and listen to all 8 episodes of the official Lord of the Rings of Power podcast for free on Amazon Music now. Download the Amazon Music app right now. Now, this is not our realm. See what I did there? The Lord of the Rings is not our realm, but go over to that podcast because it's theirs. We're not going to have any Rings of Power recaps or anything. It's not for me. I think Clem said you'll get around to watching it. Large actually told me in the office yesterday he liked that better than Thrones, which I was like,
wow.
Right. I don't know what to say to that. But this podcast is where you want to go for the recaps. This is the official one. They got the showrunners. They're telling you what it's about. Great stuff.
Once Thrones was over, which it just ended on Sunday, and once everything settles down at work, which I think, this is our 5th podcast of the week, me and you just did.
I know.
Right? So I'm still not there yet. Maybe probably like Thanksgiving to Christmas time, I'll go in, get my Rings of Power in, and then I'll this podcast will kind of connect the dots for me. And also like listening to another nerd podcast. I don't listen to any other nerd podcast that we do. It's just, again, I kind of like having our own thoughts here. I could kind of, since we're not doing Lord of the Rings here, take what they have, digest it, and say, hey, maybe this is something we could bring to the basement, different angles and stuff like that. So check it out and give us some feedback and let us know what you think of it.
So Luthen goes off to Segra Milo, and he goes off in his ship, which is very cool, might I add. He has like a very flat ship, and it's very like it reminds me of a ship that could probably do the Millennium Falcon thing where you go sideways through something. And we get the darkest moment. I'm going to call it the darkest moment in Andor. And one of the darkest moments in all of Star Wars. We see a prisoner suicide. We see a guy just like standing at a cell, thinking about it. And then we cut to like screams and, the alarms are going off and his body's just on there. And dude fucking killed himself.
It's going to smell so bad. Like they're so bad.
They're like, oh, he's going to fucking smell for weeks. It's like, holy shit. That's a scene out of Shawshank.
Yeah, that was some dark shit, man.
This is Star Wars after dark. Star Wars for adults, for real. Send the kids to bed, turn Andor on. We're getting motherfuckers shot in the face, prisoner suicide, and crazy shit.
Even like the mass showerings and getting dressed and shit like that. Like I was like, this is a lot.
And Andy Serkis like in the front too, like that whole like he's like so like running the prison. This is all like making Andor realize, okay, I have to join the rebellion. Like we need a rebellion.
I feel like now. most people in life, I feel like, don't see like the horrors of man, right? And that's just in the real world. And Andor doesn't really fit into that because he's seen some shit obviously as a child. But if you're someone who is just like me, just an idiot with his head in the clouds, and then you just get sent to this fucking war camp and your eyes are open, like this is what's really going on in the world, yeah, that's gonna like turn you into a fucking rebel, for lack of a better term, right? And let alone someone who had Marva raise him, who's fucking going out swinging and fucking looking at little pass under hotels and shit. Our boy Andor is going to everything now. We said before this season started, I hope it makes me care more about his character in Rogue One. Mission accomplished through 8 episodes. We're 75% of the way through the season, already mission accomplished.
And we know we're getting 2 seasons too. And I think next season we're probably going to get K2SO, which is just going to make shit way better.
Awesome.
People on Ferrix start getting arrested, and then Bix is called out by Tigo. She runs, and then we get another awesome cameo. We got a cool Andy Serkis cameo in this episode, and then Saw Gerrera, Forrest Whitaker shows up, and it was a really cool look at Saw Gerrera because he's not as unhinged as he was in Rogue One yet. He's like a little bit more there, and Luthen meets with him because he wants him to meet this guy Anto Krieger or something like that. And Saw says no, and they kind of fight about it because he's like, he is a separatist. You know, he has that like such a dramatic delivery, which I love. And they have like a very political talk where they brought up like the Republican at one point. He's a Republican. I was like, what the fuck? I thought we were talking about separatists and shit. And he says, no sale today. Good luck. And he fucking sends Luthen away. Very tense scene, but like very good, and a good look at like not everyone you're going to go to is going to immediately just like be in on your missions and help you out. Like this is going to be a battle getting this rebellion up and at it.
I appreciated that. I appreciated what was oh god, what show was it? Book of Boba Fett, where it was like where O'Shea Jackson Jr. is like, no man, I'm not messing with those guys. Like, please, they're really bad people. All right, I got you.
That was Obi-Wan. That was
Obi-Wan.
Which
like
easily confused. I understand.
Yes, exactly. This show, just think about those shows and now this show, very different, right?
The production quality alone is like it feels so much higher, which surprises me. Maybe it's just because they took their time on it. We've been hearing they've been filming this for so long. Like we made jokes about it. Like, is it ever going to come out? They're filming 2 seasons or whatever. And then the ending of the episode is Dedra bringing Bix in, and she lets her see that guy Pac tortured. Yeah, she's like, let her see it first.
On like an old shitty office chair too. Like they took that from like our planet, from like the 70s, threw it there, and they're like, you're gonna have to sit on that thing. It's not like the Leia or the was it Han? He's the torture machine he sits on in Empire. So I'm not gonna like our girl Bix getting tortured. I don't want that to be the way that Andor gets found, but it feels like that. But they're gonna have to do a lot of detective work because he bounced all over the fucking place. Yeah. But it feels like our boy Andor is going to be getting a visit by like the finale from Deidre here, and whether or not we find out it's his sister, which we're still not out on. Just putting that for the record books there. The basic boys are still, our hand is still on like the chess piece. It's like it could be sister. We're not saying definitely not. The Forrest Whitaker thing was a complete shock. I do like the fact that you're gonna have to work for him, and like I want when he finally decides to join to feel like a moment, like yes, we got him, you know, like, and we got his alliance or whatever.
And then if I'm thinking back to Rogue One, if I'm correct in this, he's no longer part of the rebellion because he went too extreme.
Yeah.
And he's like doing his own shit, still like fighting the Empire, but on his own. So are we going to see that in Andor? Maybe season 2 even. Like him joining and then him like fucking starting to snap necks or something. And they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, hey, the shit you see in war, man, that'll turn people to go extreme one way or the other in a lot of different ways. So that would be interesting. Did you also notice the X-wing?
The X-wing? No.
Oh, Bob Fox. There was an X-wing or an X-wing looking maybe like an older version of it, but I feel like when they first land on the planet, there's an X-wing.
Oh, wait, maybe I did. Like outside the cave,
like
a little bit.
Yeah, it's like a gray.
Maybe I did.
And
I did and forgot about it.
I saw it and I was like, oh, it's an X-wing, and then I was like, oh wait, and I forgot.
I thought you were talking about on like the Ferrix is at Bix's planet.
No,
I was like X-wing on Bix's planet. No.
And then our boy Luthen, when he's like, let's take the long way, that has to be the worst part about being in a rebellion or like, you know, trying to stay outside of the off the radar of like law enforcement, or in this case, like a government. Everywhere you have to do has to be the long way. You can't take the highway there. You have to take the back roads, and a 20-minute trip's taking 2 hours and 45 minutes. But it's like you have to do it to kind of stay on off the beaten path there so no one sees you. So those are the little things about being in a rebellion. I think we should tip our cap to the people that made this all possible, and like the people that, you know, risked their life and limb. But other than that, the people that drove much longer to get there. And Anton Krieger, or Anto Krieger, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Scary name. Scary name. It might be Uncle
like,
Harlow.
Kruger.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's what it is, a Freddy Krueger thing. I feel like him and fucking Uncle Harlow are either going to be the same person, they're going to be battling. Two people I'm just terrified of without knowing a goddamn thing about him.
I know. Who the hell could Uncle Harlow be? Someone said, is he Thrawn? I don't know how that would even line up. I don't know if they wanted to bring Thrawn into this, if they want to save him for Ahsoka. I don't know. Thrawn is going to become like the Mephisto of Star Wars, but I guess we'll get him in Ahsoka, so we'll get him soon.
Swear to God, if fucking Uncle Harlow is just some bum just sitting on a bar stool the whole time, I'm going to be so let down. I built him up so much in my head.
All right, that was it for Andor episode 8. We will be back next week for episode 9, which is the middle of this arc, so we probably won't get the prison break. Maybe we get like the prison break to end next week.
I will say this: we learned that with the heist thing, or whatever you want to call this stuff in Aldhani, it didn't go according to the way we thought everything was going to go. So they could remix it on us. But however, since we know it is a 3-episode arc, it probably will go something like that. Hashtag, you have to give me that name again of the guy you came up with.
Oh, Abulio Clergana.
So if you made it to the episode and you want to
try to spell it however you
want.
Try to
spell that, or just hashtag scram can work as well, but Bulio Clergana, I kind of want to see all the different versions of that. So tweet them at us and let us know. Thanks for listening, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Come on, please.